Today on the Hay Kings podcast, we're going to talk about the Western Alfalfa Forage Symposium coming up in November. Today I'm joined by Dr. Matt Yost. He is a native of southern Idaho, where he was raised on a dairy farm, and after completing his PhD, he spent 4 years doing postdoc research in the Midwest. He has authored numerous journal and extension articles on research dealing with water optimization, nitrogen management, precision agriculture, soil conservation, and a whole bunch of other stuff, no doubt. And you're one of the principal guys leading the charge on this Forage Symposium. First of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, glad to be here.
The Western Alfalfa Forage Symposium is going to be held December 12th to the 14th at the Nugget Casino Resort in Sparks, Nevada. Day 1 is soil health and fertility workshops. Day 2 and 3 will hold the main session topics on economics, irrigation, water storage, forage quality, pest management, and all the usual things that we talk about at forage events. And then, is there a tour that goes along with this?
This year, we're not doing a tour.
Oh, okay.
It'll just be the workshop. Last time this meeting was held, there was a tour. And I think about every other meeting, we try to do the tours.
Ah, okay.
And workshops.
So I'm just looking through the schedule of events here. You're giving a couple of talks, and I see one here on soil sampling whole fields, site-specific management. And then we have soil and plant diagnostics and alfalfa fertility problems and grass, warm and cool season grass problems. I really like how there's a whole block just dealing with alfalfa, grasses, warm season, cool season, and forage. I think that's great. And small grain forage.
The workshop is in advance of the conference. We're really trying to get down to some of the nuts and bolts of how to manage fertility, how to manage soil health in forages, especially in this breakout session that you just mentioned. We'll be looking at real life examples and trying to work through scenarios of how producers, how crop advisors can improve fertility and soil health management. Hands-on opportunity.
You're truly one of the experts in this field. Can you create that distinction between soil fertility and soil health for me?
Sure. So soil health is more a broad term description of managing soil so it's healthy, right? And there's different. Generally, we think about soil health in three categories: the biological health, the chemical health, and the physical health of the soil. And the combination of those three broad areas, right? If you have a healthy soil, it'll have healthy physical, chemical, and biological properties. Soil fertility falls mainly within that the chemical properties of the soil. So it's a piece, it's a part of soil health, but there's also the other pieces.
And I'm digging into this, and I see 3 alfalfa blocks here, and it looks like you're really addressing all the production regions too in the U.S. West Coast. I see intermountain, short season, medium season, and then long season, with experts from Wyoming and Utah, and looks like Dan Putnam's coming to speak about that. Of course, one of the longstanding experts of the industry. And then we get on to phosphorus and potassium discussions and economics around that. I'm actually, yours truly is giving that talk.
Excited, thank you.
Fantastic research done by Steve Franson at Washington State University. Just a lot of great, really, there's a clear theme here as soil health and soil fertility here on this first workshop. The workshop before the conference starts. I think everybody ought to spend some time and attend this.
I agree. Thank you. No, I think really it will be an opportunity to do, as I said, more hands-on. It's a workshop. We intend not to just have PowerPoint presentations, but spend time doing some demonstrations, some scenarios, some discussions on how to improve fertilizer management, and then the greater soil health management.
No, that's great. I think the forage world has a great story to tell in regards to soil health. There's lots of discussions around tillage and no-till, and or rather direct seed. I know the folks that are in the direct seed world are really passionate about the things that they're doing. Hay really wins in some of those scenarios because they're longer rotation crops. You're getting less soil disturbance. There's just things that you can do in the hay world.
Yeah, I agree. Well said.
Into the main conference, we get into the meat and bones of the economics, dairy trade, water trends, and we have Josh Kellen with the Hoyt Report. And if you're in the hay industry in the West Coast, you know about the Hoyt Report. He's speaking. We have Scott Courtwright with Courtwright Enterprises out of Moses Lake talking about export dynamics. That is a story right now. So, you really can't avoid. Do I say train wreck of the hay export industry right now? It's not the best market condition for sure.
Yes, it'll be very, very interesting.
I see Western dairy situation. I see new markets for alfalfa. I'm interested in that. Looking at of course all the challenges of water management in the West. I recently got back from Australia. They are water managers to the extreme. The Murray River that runs through the bulk of Eastern Australia is not a big river by any. It's nowhere near. I mean, it's not even as big as the Columbia River, or maybe it's more like the Colorado as it approaches the Mexican border. They have precious little water, and it really made me appreciate the water that we do have, and reminds me that we need to spend a lot of time being intentional about being good stewards of that water.
Oh, definitely, the last couple of years in the West have been just difficult, very, very devastating. The mega drought. We've stressed the situation more than maybe we've ever done before.
Right.
In the Western United States, right? And so alfalfa in particular just receiving lots of flack for its water use. And so the intent here is to look for alternatives, but also look for tightening the management of water on alfalfa to become as efficient as we can. And that's after we have this introduction session, we kind of move into the next one, which is all about water. Certainly a big issue.
Mm-hmm. And then I see that we get into some more forage quality in the afternoon on that second day, or rather the first day of the conference, looking at key measures of forage quality, influence of fall dormancy on alfalfa quality, combination of alfalfa and almond hulls. Oh, that's interesting. For improved forage quality. That sounds like a California dairy question to me. Looking at steaming impacts on alfalfa yield loss and forage quality. I really like the steamers are becoming exceptionally popular in the West. Turns out farmers like to sleep at some point.
Yeah, this will be really interesting because we have lots of interest in use, but very little research on steaming impacts. So this Earl Creech will be talking about some research that he's done on the impacts of steaming.
And then moving into the second day of the actual conference, I see a little bit broader spectrum of talks here, looking at wetting agents for soils. I'm not sure I even know what that is. You're giving that talk.
That's mine, yeah. So it's wetting agents are used a lot in the turf industry. It's a product, a surfactant that helps improve infiltration, reduces the surface tension of the soil, and allows water to infiltrate better. And there's been little study of it in the forage world, and so last 2 or 3 years we've studied it, and along with some biological products. And so yeah, I'll be reporting on 2 or 3 years of studies on those.
You said one of the magical words in agriculture right now: biological products. What types of products did you test?
Some bacterial and fungal products and some combinations. There's a product called BioTango, BioInsure, a big company that's just starting up and making a splash in that world. And so we're testing theirs. And then we've got some local companies here in Utah that developed some products that we're also testing. So.
And then I see talking about cover crops into corn silage and looking at Temporal changes in soil salinity. There's definitely parts of the West where salt is an issue, right?
Oh yeah, certainly. it's a big issue in some areas. And so Sharon Venice will be long-term expert in salinity management. Will be sharing some of her research on how to deal with salinity, how to improve conditions and improve forage production.
And then I see an international flavor here looking at alfalfa forage systems in Pakistan. One of the things that I always try to keep on top of is that international situation, because we're not the only country in the world that grows alfalfa. Lucerne, just back from Australia, they always poked fun at me about the way that I said Lucerne. That international component is really important in keeping an eye on what other countries are doing, and other production systems that have similarities to ours is tremendously beneficial.
Definitely, yes, yeah. We last year that we held the Alfalfa World Congress, and it was amazing to have people from several other countries come and talk about alfalfa production and learn from each other on how we can improve. So, trying to continue some of those discussions, and yeah, as you said, get perspectives from outside our region.
Wonderful. And then it looks like we round out the day with some alternative forage options, optimizing alfalfa production, and looking at irrigation regimes and yield and quality and economic returns on alfalfa grass mixes. Just some really great broad spectrum content there to round out the conference.
And we can't cover it all, but we we try to get a diversity of topics and group them into sessions. We've worked hard, not just myself. I'll mention many others. That this program is put together by a few chairs and then a large group of professionals from all across the West who help come up with topics and ideas, and many of them present. So it's really a large team regional effort to put this together. I also will mention Nicole, who is the coordinator and really puts all of this together. Without her, it wouldn't happen. And so we greatly appreciate her. And Dan Putnam has been the leader of this for a long time and just done an excellent job. And Dan is retiring, or he's retired. And so he's trying to pass the baton a little bit. I know he's still very involved this year in this meeting, but we're trying to learn from Dan and keep this going in the future. And so just really appreciate him and Nicole and the greater team for helping to put this together.
Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
My name is Rob Flowers, live in Whitesboro, Texas. The 604R premium efficiency level is through the roof. Dependability and durability on the 604R has been outstanding. We've had zero chain issues, zero bearing issues. The camless pickup has been phenomenal. And at the end of the day, that gives me more time to go home and be with my family, prepare for the next day, get more done.
Hear the full story at makeandhay.com/haykings.
Matt, thank you. And thank you for doing a partial introduction for Dr. Dan Putnam, truly one of the experts in all things forage related and has been for some time. Dan, could I get you to tell us a little bit about the history of the Western Alfalfa and Forage Symposium, and maybe how it relates to some of the other events that go on in the West and in the world, really?
Sure. Actually, my predecessor here started a California Alfalfa Symposium back in 1971, which is, I believe, before many of you were born.
Guilty.
That was very successful. It was held mainly in the Central Valley of California. At that point, in fact, for decades, alfalfa was the number one crop in California. And so this was the annual gathering of the farmers and industry members. And then over time, we've decided to move it around quite a bit. We've settled on going to resort areas. Oftentimes we go to Monterey or San Diego or places like that to move things around, so that because the West is a big region, and I think it was about more like 10 years ago, that we decided to join forces with our neighbors in Utah, New Mexico, Idaho, Washington State, and really the 11 Western states where alfalfa is a key, if not the key, crop in many of those regions. And so this has been very rewarding because, we tap into the expertise from different areas. We try to make sure that we get perspectives from different areas, that not all the knowledge is contained in one state, and so it's been very valuable from my point of view to expand the concept to multiple state types of. Now I will say that we have 50 years of the California and the Western Alfalfa Symposium presentations on a database and on a searchable database that is highly available to anybody. And so we have all the talks from last year's Alfalfa's Congress, which was a World Alfalfa Congress, and it's all online, and we'll put everything online this year as well. So I think this is going to be really helpful to people. We're going to try to get it online as quickly as possible after the conference this year, but we do have everything on there from last year.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned this searchable database. Where can producers go to find this information?
Remember the URL, or Google alfalfa@ucdavis.edu, and that's, or California Alfalfa usually comes up, but Alfalfa Symposium and usually has the good links to that. And we've actually just recently moved the website, so sometimes it doesn't come up right away, but we certainly will provide that to everybody. The actually URL is alfalfasymposium.edu. So and then all of the symposium archives are there going back many years, and you can search on like a subject area, like, for example, you're talking about steamers earlier, and soil fertility, fertilizers. You could do a search on those keywords and find some actually really excellent presentations on these issues.
Oh my, I was digging around as you were talking about this, and if you go to alfalfa.ucdavis.edu, there's a nice pink bar right across the top that says, "Are you looking for Alfalfa Symposium archives?" And sure as I'm talking to you, you have all the archives listed back to 1971.
Yep. That was something that, and one of the things we've realized is, even there's certainly scientific findings that are timely, that in real time we need to think about them. But, some of the recommendations that different states have been around for many, many years. And we've had excellent presentations by individuals that summarize those, and it's really quite helpful.
Absolutely wonderful. I love to see all this this giant repository of information just about forage crops.
Alfalfa, forage crops, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have many different alternative forages, teff, for example, or Sudan grass, corn silage. We've had some efforts on corn silage over the past, and so there's alternative forages, grassy hays. For anybody who is interested in forage crops, it's a nice resource. And there are videos there too, PowerPoints and videos, so you can see Matt Yost's presentation from several years ago, or other presenters.
Look forward to seeing everybody here again. We're talking about the 2023 Western Alfalfa and Forage Symposium, held December 12th to the 14th at the Nugget Casino Resort in Sparks, Nevada. And again, if you go to alfalfa.ucdavis.edu, there is a way to view the program that Matt and I talked about just a little bit ago, and there's also a spot there to register as an attendee if you'd like to join.
And how many exhibitors, Nicole, do you think we'll have there? Do you think?
On average, we see 50 to 60 exhibiting companies.
That's one of the things I found to be quite valuable, because you get lots of different private industry perspectives. Seed companies, chemical companies,
equipment manufacturers,
equipment people. And so it's a really great opportunity to, for all things forages, to really concentrate in those issues.
Well, that is absolutely wonderful. thank you both for coming and talking about this event, and I look forward to seeing you both there.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah,
John.
absolutely.
I'm here. Thank you, John.
If you'd like to register for the symposium, the early bird rate comes to an end September 28th. So be sure and register before then or after, but it is a little cheaper if you register before that. Come and join us at the conference.